Welcome to indicators. You have read in your prescribed textbooks about indicators, the different types of indicators, how we link them to outcomes, objectives, impact, and activities. So this video is just another summary, making sure that you understand all of these concepts because they are crucial in what we're going to do in the rest of the module. So that is why I'm giving you another recap, just to make sure that you understand and that you've got all the tools that you need for the following sections. Okay, so indicators are all around us. We use indicators to determine wealth of a country. For instance, in GDP, we use indicators on many, even more day-to-day things. If you go to the doctor and the doctor measures your temperature, then that is an indicator of your health. If you look at your budget and it's in the green, then that's an indicator of your financial well-being. So indicators are something that we use all the time. And I'm not talking about the indicator in your car to show whether you're going to turn left or right, but that is possibly also an indicator. So the definition and role of indicators is we can define an indicator as an objective, measurable, verifiable, and clearly understandable description of a situation. An indicator can also be seen as something that is a neutral measure. So neutral means that the indicator must be able to go up or down. You cannot have an indicator to say improve this or the growth of this, because that would be your target, not your indicator. So the indicator would be the temperature of the patient. The target would then be to reduce the temperature of the patient. But so make sure when you write your indicators that they are neutral. They are then used to assess if an objective has been achieved and if progress has been made. So indicators are crucial in M&E. When we monitor and evaluate it, we have to have indicators that are neutral and measurable and verifiable and objective as per the definition, to make sure that what we're doing is effective, that that we can actually go and motivate why we've been doing things and what the results of those were. It also shows us whether we are on the right track or whether we should be changing what we are doing currently. So if you have a patient, again, if we use the patient analogy, that goes into hospital with a very high fever, the doctors will then start a protocol, but they will have to continuously monitor. So every hour or two, the temperature will be measured. And if there's no change, then it means that the intervention or the medication in this case is not effective, and they will then have to come up with new plans. Okay, so indicators, further definitions, is a unit of measure, or could be a unit of measure. For instance, the temperature or the kilometers on the road, or something that is relevant to the project that you want to do. It tells you the change over time, so you do not measure the indicator once. It's a continuous process that then shows you a roadmap almost of change that has happened. It helps us to simplify difficult phenomena to measure. So for instance, if we look at pass rate in school, then it doesn't only show you whether students have attended school or whether they did their homework or whether they studied for the test. It is one simplified measure of learning that regardless, so different students might have different inputs indicators, whether they attend school or whether they do their homework, but in the end, what is important is whether they pass. It helps us understand complex realities. So when solving specific tricky things, it helps us to have one specific measure. And it also provides representative picture of a specific situation. So it shows us information in an indicator that we can compare to others. So if you look at the pass rate, then we can measure the pass rate of one school against the pass rate in another school, and then we can start to investigate activities and the other indicators that might have an influence. Okay, so sometimes indicator is not enough, as per our school example, and we might want to have an index of indicators. So an index is where two or more indicators are combined to measure a specific phenomenon. If we take the school example, then you would, for instance, then say we look at pass rate as the outcome indicator, but then we look at school attendance, we look at the qualifications of trainers, teachers, we look at whether children did their homework, we look at specific things, even for instance in households, whether there's electricity in a household might be a part of the sample that we measure in order to know that the output indicator is influenced by others. So an index is where you have more than one indicator that measures the same phenomenon. Okay, so why are indicators important? It shows us how well we are doing. It gives us a comparison over time. It gives us a comparison geographically between provinces or municipalities or schools or entities. It can also be used as an international comparison if we have used the same indicators or the same index of indicators. And it can then also be combined in different ways to give us an indication of where we need to focus our efforts. So in the next section, we will look at specifically selecting our indicators and the things that we need to focus on when doing that.